Henry Plant, the man who opened Florida's West Coast. In the presentation, we will explore the life and transformative impact of Henry Bradley Plant, born 1819, died 1899. I will detail how his railroad, steamship, and hotel empire connected Florida's western and southern coast, driving tourism, agriculture, and commerce. Learn about key projects like the Plant System and the historic Tampa Bay Hotel. Founder of the Plant System, he established a vast and highly profitable network of railroads and steamship lines that connected the Southeast with the rest of the country and Cuba. His rail lines were instrumental in opening up Central and West Florida to the nation. Plant is particularly renowned for bringing the railroad to the isolated Tampa Bay area in 1884. This act sparked massive population growth and economic development in Tampa and the Gulf Coast region. To stimulate tourism and passenger traffic on his rail lines, he built a chain of luxury hotels in Florida, the most famous of which is the magnificent and opulent Tampa Bay Hotel, now a National Historic Landmark and the main building for the University of Tampa. He developed Port Tampa as a deep-water port, which was a hub for his steamship line that offered service to Key West and Cuba, further boosting trade and commerce. Henry Plant and Henry Flagler, often called the Two Henrys, were instrumental in transforming Florida in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. While they shared the vision of developing the state through railways and luxury hotels, their efforts focused on different regions of Florida, leading to distinct legacies. The map shows Plant railroads in green and Flagler's in red. To learn about Henry Flagler, I have a presentation on our channel titled The Train to Paradise, Henry Flagler and His Dream of a Railroad to Key West. Henry Plant was born on October the 27th, 1819 in Branford, Connecticut. He was born to Betsy Bradley and Anderson Plant, a farmer. He was raised by his mother, stepfather, and grandmother after his father and younger sister died of typhus fever when he was 6 years old. His grandmother, Betsy Plant, offered him an education at Yale College, hoping he would become a minister, but he refused, impatient to begin an active career. At the age of 18, he began his professional life working as a captain's boy and deckhand on the steamboat the New York for the New Haven Steamboat Company, plying the waters between New Haven, Connecticut, and New York. He married Ellen Elizabeth Blackstone in 1842. He then worked for Beecher and Company, which was taken over by the Adams Express Company. He demonstrated a strong aptitude for the express shipping business, which involved transporting parcels, and he worked his way up, eventually securing a position in the company's New York office. His career shifted geographically due to the health of his wife Ellen, whose doctors ordered her to a warmer climate in the South. In 1853, the Plant spent several months in Jacksonville, Florida. In 1854, Plant was appointed superintendent of the Adams Express Company's Southern Division in Augusta, Georgia, successfully organizing and expanding the business across the South. At the outbreak of the Civil War, Plant purchased the southern holdings of the Adams Express Company, renaming it the Southern Express Company, and served as its president until his death. The Southern Express Company was entrusted with the transportation of all Confederate funds and was appointed the agent for collecting tariffs for the Confederacy. During the war, Plant also made a trip to Europe from 1863 to 1865. Henry Plant's first wife, Ellen Elizabeth Blackstone, died on February the 28th, 1861, in Augusta, Georgia. She succumbed to tuberculosis. After the Civil War, Plant returned to New York, and in 1873 he married Margaret Josephine Loffman. After the Civil War, much of the South's railroad infrastructure was destroyed or in foreclosure. Plant took advantage of this situation to acquire and rebuild many of the troubled and foreclosed railroad firms, establishing a transportation empire along the southeastern seaboard. He purchased his first railroad, the Atlantic and Gulf Railroad, in 1879, followed by many other acquisitions. By the 1880s, his accumulated interests in railroads and steamship lines were combined into the Plant system. He also established the Plant Investment Company in 1882 to manage his growing transportation empire. He brought the railroad to Tampa, Florida, reaching its terminus in 1884. He extended the railroad to Port Tampa, developing it into a deep water port and major transportation hub. Tampa was connected to the rest of the eastern seaboard, and Plant established steamship lines from Port Tampa to Havana and New Orleans, among other places. After the Civil War, Plant purchased and connected numerous bankrupt Southern railroad companies. A major challenge was the lack of uniformity in track width, known as rail gauge. Plant undertook the immense task of converting his system to standard gauge, namely 4 feet 8.5. This standardization eliminated the need for passengers and freight to switch trains at the end of each line, making rail travel significantly less cumbersome, more efficient, faster, and more reliable. Plant's completion of the 70-mile rail line from Kissimmee to Tampa in early 1884 was his most significant achievement in Florida, serving as the catalyst for Tampa's transformation from an isolated, sleepy village into a major commercial and transportation hub. This single stretch of track was the final crucial link that connected Tampa to the entire eastern seaboard via the Plant system of railways. What were the key impacts of the rail line to Tampa? Firstly, it ended isolation. For decades, Tampa had been an isolated village with a population of only around 720 in 1880. The arrival of the railroad in 1884 broke this physical and economic isolation, instantly connecting the Gulf Coast to the rest of the nation. The rail link stimulated immense growth. Tampa's population mushroomed from about 720 in 1880 to 5,534 by 1890. Industries like citrus, lumber, and phosphate flourished as the Plant system provided rapid mass transportation to northern markets. Plant didn't stop in Tampa. He immediately envisioned it as an international port. He extended the line 9 miles to Port Tampa, dredged the channel to create a deep water terminal, and built wharves. This development secured Port Tampa's position as a major shipping hub for his Plant steamship line, which ran service to Key West, Havana, Cuba, and Jamaica. To capitalize on the new line, Plant launched Florida's tourism industry in the West by building grand hotels along his rail routes. Most notably, he built the magnificent Tampa Bay Hotel, opened in 1891 to attract wealthy winter tourists. The combination of rail and port access drew major industries. Most famously, the railroad played a key role in attracting Vicente Martinez, Ybor, and his cigar industry to the area, giving the city another vital economic base. Plant extended the rail line an additional 9 miles from Tampa to the southwestern tip of the Interbay Peninsula, where he established Port Tampa in 1887. This location had a naturally deep channel. He oversaw the dredging of the channel and extension of the docks to accommodate larger deep-draft steamships and high volumes of traffic. The wharves were large enough to berth many steamers at once. Port Tampa became the main hub for the Plant steamship line, which ran routes to international destinations like Havana, Cuba, and other U.S. ports like Mobile and New Orleans, securing the port's position as a major transportation hub in the Western Hemisphere. To encourage passenger traffic and tourism, Plant built the lavish Tampa Bay Hotel, now the University of Tampa, and the inn at Port Tampa on the pier, creating a luxurious destination for tourists traveling down on his rail and steamship lines. In 1898, During the Spanish-American War, Port Tampa achieved international recognition when Henry Plant successfully lobbied the U.S. government to choose Tampa as the official port of embarkation for troops heading to Cuba. Plant offered the Tampa Bay Hotel as the military headquarters, and his rail and steamship lines were crucial for moving thousands of soldiers and tons of supplies. The primary economic catalyst of the plant system on Florida, particularly the central and western regions, was the establishment of a vast integrated transportation network of railroads and steamships. This infrastructure fundamentally transformed a previously underdeveloped area by providing rapid, reliable access to national and international markets and simultaneously igniting the tourism industry. Plant's decision to extend his railroad to Tampa in 1884 and develop Port Tampa into a deep water terminal was arguably his most significant single contribution. This development turned Tampa from a small fishing village into a major international transportation hub, providing a direct link for commerce to the West Indies, Cuba, Jamaica, Mobile, and the North Atlantic. By acquiring and linking over 1,196 miles of track and crucially standardizing the rail gauge across his system, Plant increased the ease and efficiency of moving both goods and passengers. The efficient rail network enabled the mass rapid transportation of perishable Florida goods like citrus and celery to major eastern seaboard markets, which was previously unfeasible. This access allowed Florida's agricultural industry to flourish. The reliable, interconnected transportation system directly enticed major industries to locate in Tampa, most notably the cigar industry, led by Vicente Martinez Ibor. The rail lines facilitated the transportation of Florida's natural resources like lumber and phosphate to the ports for export. Plant recognized that luxury accommodations were needed to bring wealthy northern tourists to the end of his rail lines. He built or acquired 8 luxury hotels throughout Central and West Florida. These luxury hotels were strategically placed along his transportation lines to cater to wealthy Gilded Age tourists and anchor the state's burgeoning tourism industry as displayed in green on the map. While we are discussing Plant's hotel empire, let's zoom in on his pride and joy, namely the Tampa Bay Hotel. Built between 1888 and 1891 as the flagship resort in his Plant system of railroads, steamships, and hotels, which were instrumental in developing Florida's west coast. Its original role was as an opulent winter resort for wealthy Gilded Age elites, open seasonally from December to April. It was often called Florida's first Magic Kingdom, built in the style of Moorish revival. The striking red brick structure is immediately recognizable by its silver-domed minarets, cupolas, and horseshoe arches. The 5-story hotel, which is a quarter-mile long and originally sat on 150 acres, was an engineering marvel for its time. It was one of the first buildings in Florida to have electricity throughout and was equipped with a functional elevator, one of the oldest continually operating in the U.S. All of its 511 rooms had telephones and most had private baths. In 1898, the hotel gained international fame when the U.S. government chose Tampa as the port of embarkation for the invasion of Cuba during the Spanish-American War. The hotel served as the headquarters for the U.S. Army officers planning the campaign. High-ranking generals and officers, along with foreign observers, journalists, and notable figures like Clara Barton, American Red Cross founder, and Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, before he became president, stayed at the hotel. Roosevelt's Rough Riders encamped on the hotel grounds. The hotel closed its doors in 1932 due to the Great Depression. The city of Tampa took over the property and in 1933 leased it to the newly established Tampa Bay Junior College for $1 a year. Today, the building is known as Plant Hall and is the main iconic structure of the University of Tampa. A portion of the original hotel's first floor is preserved as the Henry B. Plant Museum, which showcases the hotel's history, original furnishings, and the lifestyle of the Gilded Age. In 1898, the national publication Success magazine officially dubbed Henry Plant the King of Florida in a featured article. The magazine bestowed the title upon him because he was considered to have done more for Florida's development and advancement than any other single person at that time. His railroads facilitated the growth of new towns and cities in Central and West Florida, many of which are named after him or related to his ventures, such as Plant City. His infrastructure also gave Florida's key industries like citrus growers and phosphate mines quick access to northern and international markets, creating widespread growth and prosperity. In essence, by the time the article was published in 1898, Henry Plant's massive investment and entrepreneurial vision had transformed the formerly isolated west coast of Florida into an economically viable region, establishing the foundation for its modern tourism and trade industries. The death of Henry Plant on June 23, 1899, marked the end of an era of personal, highly centralized empire building in Florida. His passing led to the rapid dissolution and consolidation of the Plant system. His vast, privately controlled network of railroads, steamships, and luxury hotels that had earned him the title King of Florida the previous year. Dissolution of the Plant system, 1899 to 1902, by Plant's immediate successors, primarily his son Morton F. Plant, who began dismantling the complex empire shortly after his death. The Plant system was too sprawling and personalized to continue operating efficiently without its founder's direct unifying control. In 1902, the Atlantic Coastline Railroad acquired the majority of the Plant system's railroads. This consolidation marked a major step toward modernizing and integrating the Southern railway industry. The tracks built by Plant remain a key part of the modern rail lines operated by CSX Transportation in Florida today. The Plant steamship line merged in 1900 with a rival company, the Florida East Coast Steamship Company, controlled by Plant's rival Henry Flagler, to form the Peninsula and Occidental Steamship Company, P&O. Plant's grand luxury hotels, built primarily to generate passenger traffic for his rail lines, were often not profitable on their own, especially the most opulent ones. Several smaller Plant hotels were sold off or closed within a year of his death, including the Ocala House, the Fort Myers Hotel, and the Punta Gorda Hotel. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this presentation. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by pressing the subscribe and like buttons below. We are planning to add many more presentations covering a wide variety of science, history, and other enriching subjects. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please feel free to make them, and we will do our best to respond. Again, thanks for watching, and please do subscribe.